evening, my little dung beetles, and welcome to another evening with Dante Nightly's Nightly Bedtime Stories, Thoughts, and Poems. Tonight's story is called The Ringing Bell. They buried him on Tuesday for an offense he made on Monday. Justice was very swift in their little village. A mistaken glance or even an inconvenient sneeze could land you in the stocks in under an hour. One such free spirit named Michael spent so much time in the stocks that not seeing him there was a bit of a surprise. One afternoon, the magistrate stepped in a pile of horse dung and slipped. He didn't fall, but he did flail his arms about, trying to keep his balance. This, of course, generated a snicker for Michael. All the magistrate had to do was point, and his minions sprung into action. Michael ran, but the minions mounted their horses and gave chase. He made it all the way to the edge of the little village before the horsemen knocked him to the ground. One swift club to the head was all it took. He was unconscious during the entire trial. They tied him to a plank so he was sitting upright during the proceedings. He never even heard the verdict, let alone the sentencing. He woke up just in time to feel the noose being fitted around his neck. By the time he realized what was happening, he heard the trapdoor release, the sudden pressure around his neck. Then he was out again. They stuffed him in a box and buried him in a shallow grave. The magistrate forbade anyone from attending his funeral. Other than the sounding bell required by law, there were no grave markings for poor Michael. That night, the village crier raced through town. "A sounding bell! A sounding bell!" Of course, this was the kind of news that drew everyone's attention. They discovered it was Michael's bell. They had only dug about a foot when they could hear Michael's muffled cries for help. Then suddenly, a booming voice bellowed over the crowd. "Stop this at once!" They all turned to see the magistrate approaching. "Stop, I say! This village will not suffer this heathen for another moment. Let him lie in a ruin of his own making, or suffer the same fate." For 3 days and nights the bell sounded more and more vigorously, more and more desperate. It was music to the magistrate's ears. On the third day, the ringing slowed. It came in short spurts, then the occasional single ring, and then finally, under the light of the full moon, the bell sounded its last. The village carried the loss of poor dear Michael for a month. On the first night of the following full moon, a bell, accompanied by a playful giggle, ran throughout the village. This giggle startled the magistrate from his slumber. The sleeping villagers rose from their beds to the playful sound. Their spirits lifted as they wonder what mischief Michael might have been up to if he was still alive. They found out the next morning. The magistrate was found in his bed, buried under a load of dirt. Horse dung filled his mouth and lungs. Oh, silly Michael with his tricks. Good night and sweet screams.